So I am practitioner Robert Brown. I'm happy to welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living Carlsbad, where we know and believe that there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we can use it. So I'd like you to relax a moment for our opening spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. Close your eyes if you wish. Put your feet firmly on the floor and join me in consciousness. Join me in knowing that there is only one power, one presence in this universe and in our lives. We commune with that presence, which is inside each of us. And we use that power. We tap into that power to bring good into our lives and the lives of those for whom we pray. I give great thanks for this day, this beautiful, sunny, blue-skied day in which we can come together once again on this Sunday morning to share our spirituality and our humanity. We are one with the divine. We are individualized expressions of the divine. We are each individuals. We are each unique, but we are one in spirit. And we give great thanks for that. And we give great thanks for today's service, for today's message, for the class that will follow, and for each and every one of you who is here, and each of them, one of those of our congregation who have not been able to be here today. So I release my words into the law, knowing that they are so, and together we say, and so it is. Now we have a musical selection by Richard James.
Ooh, yeah, there we go. You can hear me? Everybody can hear me?
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, here's something just to kind of build on that sense of the wonder of the universe, the incredible beauty, and the opportunity that it offers us. From the group Brazil 66, if you remember that. Look around, just look around. All the secrets of the skies in a drop of rain. Look around, just look around. All silver and surprise. If you look around, just look around. All the wisdom of the sea in a grain of sand. Just look around, look around. Set the child within you free. When you look around, just look around. That clouds of birds flying through the air. That happy leaves going to the fair. It's all there. It's all there. All the innocence of spring in a blade of grass. Look around, just look around. Let the child within you sing. When you look around, just look around. Thank you, Sergio Mendes.
And thank you, Richard James, for that song. So, let's give a big thanks to many years. Richard James played pretty much every Sunday for One Heart, One Mind, and now he is in the rotation playing
All over the place at once.
So, next on the agenda is candle lighting. I'd like to invite Maddie up. We light the candles to remind ourselves of the underlying spirit of life and the divine unity of all. First one we light is for life. Life is everywhere present, flowing through each and every one of us. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is our life now. Please affirm with me, I am life. We light a candle for love. The birth of love happens within each one of us every time we make room for the Christ consciousness in our hearts and recognize our unity. We are points of love within the heart of God. Please affirm with me, I am love. We light a candle for light. The light of God is the presence and the power. We are always walking in the light. We radiate the light of God wherever we are. Please affirm with me, I am the light. We light a candle for beauty. We are made in the likeness and image of God. We are each whole, complete, and beautiful just as we are. We accept the beauty of God's perfection as our perfection now. Please affirm with me, I am beauty. We light the candle for joy. Joy is the very nature of spirit and the true essence of each of us. We celebrate the joy of our own rebirth in the God consciousness. We each bring joy to the world. Please affirm with me, I am joy. We light the candle for peace. Today and every day we open our hearts to peace. We are each a center of peace in our world. Please affirm with me, I am peace. And finally, I invite you to take a moment to recognize your own inner light that is always shining within as we each honor our own metaphysical path of wholeness, oneness, and mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. Thank you, Maddie. So as usual, we have a few announcements today. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone who's visiting for the first time and those who haven't been here for a while. Make yourself at home, stay for fellowship after the service, and if you want to sit in on the class that we have afterwards, you're welcome to do that as well. If you haven't been here before, or if it's been a while, please add your name and email to our guest book in the lobby so that you can receive our weekly email. Now, I want to remind you that every Sunday we offer spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer for everybody as our gift to you. If you have a prayer request for healing of conditions today, you can either speak to a minister or a practitioner, and I may have a show of hands of who's available. 2 reverends and 2 practitioners. Or you can fill out a form out on the far table, and our prayer team will pray for you, whatever it is that you wish for, all week long. Next. I lost something, yeah, I know. Today is birthday Sunday. First Sunday of the month, and there is a cake out there, as well as some cupcakes for those who don't want carrot cake. Next week, February 9th, Reverend Maureen will be talking about loving each other in anticipation of the celebration of St. Valentine's Day. On February 16th, which is Potluck Sunday, having trouble reading Maureen's writing, Michael Paul Smith will be speaking. And his topic is the wisdom of Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman. So that'll be an interesting, unique experience. Please be sure to come both Sundays and invite a friend. We're always welcoming to friends.
Birthdays. Who got birthdays?
Oh yeah. As I said earlier, it's birthday Sunday. That means we celebrate the birthdays of everyone who has a birthday in the month of February. So let me have a show of hands. Who has a birthday in February? Well, let's all sing a rousing rendition of Happy Birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
And Jim would also like to share a prosperity demonstration with us that he had last week. And so come on up, Jim. I'll turn on the microphone for you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Robert. You can hear me, right? So people tell me that I'm very talky, so I have notes. Does that sound better, or is it still kind of quiet?
Yeah, when you have it
So
close, it's better.
Speak louder, Jim.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'm not the sound guy. I tease everybody to be technically wrong.
Hold it here.
Yes.
Can you speak like this?
Yes, fine.
Okay, let's see. So what I wanted to share this morning is the part gratitude plays an unexpected income. Many of you who have read my book, which is the backstory of how using my technique increased our net worth 250%, continue doing a simple daily 2-minute affirmation which works. We humans are challenged in 4 areas: health, creative self-expression, relationships, and money. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. I created a daily affirmation that covers all those areas. For money, I say, thank you, God, that the money that flows to me now continues to increase at the rate of 30% or more per year through channels known and unknown. And I tithe 10% on everything I get. This past week, as Robert says, I received an unexpected check and a large gift. The check amount was $5,636. The gift amount was $500. So I'm going to tell you a little story about the $500 gift. Last Friday on the way up to Santa Barbara, I stopped at Thousand Oaks to have lunch. After lunch, I got in the car and tried to start it up, and it would not start. So I had to call AAA, who came out and jumped it. And they said that because the battery is guaranteed, they sent me back to the dealer to get a new battery. At the dealership, I was informed that the battery warranty had expired 14 days ago. Now remember, I'm not at a dealer, right? So new battery and labor, $469. And I needed a few other extra things that needed to be added. So the estimated total bill was $499. I said a thank you God prayer. Hour and a half later, as I was pulling out my credit card to pay,
The service advisor said, no charge. The dealership decided to gift it to me as a one-time goodwill gesture.
Oh.
So, I always want to know the reason for things, so I was thinking about that, and I had remembered that earlier I was alone in the waiting area trying to get the TV adjusted. A lady came out of the office to help me. We talked and she asked what I was there for. I shared my experience. Then she asked me my last name. We wished each other a nice day and she left. It turns out that she was the warranty supervisor. And she was the outside influence that comped me the whole bill, including the windshield wipers and the other pieces that weren't in the required battery. So, I would tell you all, I've been saying daily the 4-part affirmation for over 25 years now, and I continue to receive unexpected money and gifts, and I keep tithing, and the flow keeps coming. So, if you haven't read the book, see Jan at the book table, and she'll give you a free copy. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Jim, and congratulations. Are there any additional announcements we have to make? Any additional announcements? No? Okay.
Okay. I have an announcement. Right across the street at the high school on March 8th, there's going to be a magic show. It's a fundraiser for Rotary Club, I guess of Encinitas. It's not my Rotary Club. I went last year, it was really fun. JP and Nuku went with my husband and me. And so I think I put some flyers out on the table, but anyway, it does sell out. So if you're interested, you might want to consider that. That's one little fun thing.
It'll allow you to see an example of human magic as opposed to the spiritual magic that we all witness with these demonstrations from our prayers. So we are a community-based center, and as such, we depend on our volunteers for a lot. So I'd like to express appreciation now for today's volunteers, for these beautiful roses and other things in there, whose name I don't know. We'd like to thank Larry.
That's in memorial to my wife. She had her transition on Thursday, a year after she transitioned.
A year ago this Thursday or last?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though she didn't like road. That's all I did get.
She probably likes them now.
We like.
And the greeter today, on very short notice, was Odie. The treats were brought by yours truly. The video recording, as usual, was Jim Massapist. And the setup was also, mostly as usual, was Kate's son, DuVivier. And we always thank Jan Sherburne for everything that she does, running the bookstore in the lobby is the least of those things, because it's all of the finances going, sends out checks, pays bills, etc., etc. So thank you, Jan. And we need volunteers every Sunday, so there's a sign-up sheet out on the nearest table. So sign up for something and help us out. It's your community, your spiritual community. So now we'll do the group reading. So if you each have a program, or many of you may have memorized it by now. Let's read it together. God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one is all, is perfect love and perfect abundance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect abundance. And so it is. And after the group reading, we have a group song. So those of you who are able, stand up.
That's right, that's right. And I've got a new battery in the microphone so you can hear me.
And what is our group song?
Joy, joy, joy.
Joy, joy.
I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart to stay. I've got the peace that passes understanding down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the peace that passes understanding down in my heart, down in my heart to stay. I've got the love of God is in me down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the love of God within me down in my heart, down in my heart to stay. I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart to stay.
Thank you, everybody, for those beautiful voices. And now it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, our very own Reverend Kate DuVivier.
Let's have Morgan give a reading.
Reading Morgan first.
Oh, the right.
Come on up, Morgan. Come on, Morgan.
I wasn't feeling well this morning.
Good morning, church.
Good morning, church lady.
Okay, we're all wrapped up now. Today's reading is by Reverend Dr. Carol Carnes from her daily blog, Living Consciously. Dear friends, in New Thought Spirituality, we often speak about our center, that mental space of equilibrium which serves as both a launching pad and a landing place. We come from a point of peace to express ourselves, and we return there despite outer events. I am wondering today what the center point is for the collective consciousness. Is it fear, trepidation, or anger? It doesn't seem to be cheerful expectation, does it? How much of the news can we observe and remain optimistic? The news is something ordinary, but if our life is not in balance, if we are news junkies, we might feel there is nothing good in this world, that it's all terrible. It takes some mental agility to hold that center, not unlike an Olympic athlete who trains diligently to perform with grace and ease. It is as much mental training as it is physical. Can we think of ourselves as being in training to interact with this constantly shifting world? We need some spiritual practice, and we need it daily. We need to turn off the news occasionally and listen to birds or music or each other. We need moments of deep silence so that we might find that center again. There is that place in us that is completely undisturbed and not at all involved in what the outer world is doing. We need to bow down to it and claim it as the starting point for our perception. Affirm, I give precedence to my inner life knowing I am drawing from an inexhaustible well of peace and intelligence. This is my gift to the world. And so it is.
So it is.
So that,
Oh, my goodness. Give us copies.
That's not good.
That's great.
Just realize that when you don't do this very often, you kind of forget the sequence of things. So I'm sorry for forgetting you, Morgan. So now we're going to have a musical selection by Richard James before we have the speaker.
Thank you. Actually, it is by Richard James. It's something that I created a while back. Something called Inner Peace. All about love, kind of opening our hearts. Come in peace, go in peace, through the world, gain release. Destiny sets us free, inner peace. Satisfy true desire, connecting to that inner fire. Share the word and inspire. Be in peace. Wisdom comes to us as we gaze and we trust. As we give, so must we receive. Where is it written that we'll always fight as we learn to love? We'll do what is right. Gaining poise, real concern. Shedding noise, we discern. Share the word as we learn, as we please. Come in peace, go in peace. Through the word, true release. Destiny sets us free. Inner peace. Wisdom comes to us as we gain trust, as we give, so must we receive. Where is it written that we'll always fight as we learn to love? We'll share the light. Gaining poise, real concern. Share the words we discern. Share the word as we learn, as we please. Come in peace, go in peace. Through the word, true release. Destiny sets us free. Breathlessly guarantees inner peace. Inner peace. Thank you.
Okay, now here's Kate.
Okay, while I'm organizing my papers, just, can you hear me okay? Sure. Am I loud enough? All right.
Now, it occurs to me you can't have your cake and cake too. Sorry.
Well,
Oh, well, that's.
probably lucky you didn't have your microphone on because I didn't hear you completely. Larry, but I'm sure it was really nice, whatever you said.
You can't have your cake and cake too.
Oh, okay, I got it. I got it. Yeah, I actually, for a very short time, had the nickname Cake, which I thought was very nice because some little boy, a friend of ours, child, when I was introduced, he thought that was the name they sold him. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to argue about that. So, it's a good day, so good morning. Today is Groundhog Day, right? Yeah, happy Groundhog Day. Happy beginning of Black History Month, which we celebrate. Right? Yeah. Happy Lunar New Year. Many people in the world are celebrating the Year of the Snake, which I was like, how would you celebrate the Year of the Snake? And then I thought about conga lines, right? Sounds fun. So it could be fun. And happy birthday to Jim and anyone else who has a February birthday, or all of us. So happy Sunday. And we should be happy, right? Yes, there are always challenges. Yes, there's always problems or issues in the world, in our lives. But there's something innate within us that keeps moving us, guiding us towards happiness. Almost like happiness, the state of happiness is like a light that we are always being drawn to, always moving towards. Even, we know it's true. I know it's true because even the simplest things, like seeing a friend smile this morning, or making a new friend this morning, getting a hug, even sipping a sip of coffee, looking at these flowers, thinking about Elaine and about how she would have told Larry she don't like roses. These are little tiny things that bring us happiness, because happiness is, it's like our natural state. You know, so I'm a happy grandmother and I see that happiness is the natural state of a child. It does not take much to get a baby to smile. You know, people always say when the first smile that a baby gives, it's just a little burp. I always think that's funny. But no, I mean, we're born to smile. We're born to laugh and be happy. Now, I have to admit it. It's true. I am a news junkie. It's true, and it's frustrating, and I'm trying to cut down a little bit, but part of me is like, no, I'm not going to not watch the news just because I don't like what's on it. It's out there. I'm always aware of it. I know other people feel much happier if they never turn it on, and that's fine too. We're all individuals. We all move through the world in the way that we want to move through the world. But I have to say, after watching the news, it was really a relief when I was babysitting for my granddaughter, and I turned on Teletubbies, which is a little kid's show, and they just were like, Teletubbies. And it's the same TV screen. It brings us whatever according to the channel that we tune it to. We're at choice. So today, our topic is 5 steps to spiritual freedom. And I'm sure if you've taken classes before, you probably have guessed, oh, she means 5 steps of treatment, right? Because we always talk about 5 steps of treatment. So 5 steps of spiritual freedom, I mean, I'll give it away. It's going to be how to use affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment, but also, why do we have those steps? Why do we talk about that? You know, and usually when we talk about affirmative prayer, we're thinking about a need, a desire, a wish for something. And it might be not a thing, but it could just be peace of mind, or it could be healthiness. You know, we usually have something that we tend to pray for. And so I thought I would also like to just bring up the idea that it's also for spiritual freedom. Not necessarily for anything in particular, but also for spiritual freedom. And so, what is spiritual freedom? What could that possibly be? If I had said financial freedom, it would be obvious, right? It would be obvious that we would be talking about not living in poverty. But instead, we'd be talking about having enough money to do and have whatever is needed or wanted. Financial freedom is freedom from poverty. Oh, there's page 2. So we know what we mean by financial freedom. But what about spiritual freedom? So I was thinking that I might explain that spiritual freedom is a way of living confidently within one's own life experience and within one's own mental perceptions. That spiritual freedom is freedom from fear. But that seemed really vague. So I tried to think about what else I might say, and I actually thought about it a long time. And so I thought maybe we could say that spiritual freedom is existing in a state, you know, in which we have the ability to see clearly and think clearly and understand clearly and believe clearly. But that still seemed kind of incomplete because while seeing, thinking, understanding, believing are great, why? Why are they great? And I think it is because this clarity of mind, this clarity of thinking, shifts us into a state of being that we sometimes call here cheerful expectation, which is what Carol Carnes wrote about in the reading that Morgan gave us. Can we reach that state of cheerful expectation, that comfortable state where we are relaxed and able to welcome happiness into our lives? When we're spiritually free, we're just going to naturally expect the best. And we will tend to find it. So here's a little example. And this is why, it's funny, but this is why I like pause. It wasn't that I couldn't find page 2, it was because it is so funny that someone in our audience happens to be here today who this story directly relates to in kind of like a way that I'm not really going to talk about. Except to say that I wish I had purchased the couch that I didn't. Because yesterday I sat down to meditate and I looked across at the couch across from me where I was sitting, which we've had for a number of years, and I've always regretted buying it because it isn't perfectly lined up. Now, Morgan and I have talked about what it means when you're a Virgo, and sometimes things have to line up perfectly. I don't believe in astrology, but I can't deny that when the seams don't line up quite right, I can't help noticing it. I always, every time I sit down, I see, oh, the stitching is off. The cushions aren't exactly the same thickness. And then, I just want to say this. After I finished my meditation on today's topic, when I opened my eyes, I suddenly saw the couch much more clearly. And suddenly I recognized that that couch actually was a testament to peace and goodwill. I remember that that couch was made in Vietnam. And I thought about Vietnam and our country's long history with Vietnam and the fact that we're at peace with Vietnam. And that fact alone represents enormous progress in the history and the growing harmony of the world. So, yes, that didn't mean the seams were straight, but I saw it in a greater context with more clarity. So can we define spiritual freedom as the freedom to see life through the eyes of love? Through the eyes of recognizing that we have blessings everywhere. So, you know, I like to talk about Pollyanna. I'm not going to talk about Pollyanna today. Positivity is great. That's not my topic. But on the other hand, I think it's important, and I do want to share one of the statements by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who said, and it's true, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And Ernest Holmes has often used the example of, it doesn't matter how dark the room is, when you flip on the light, it's light. So I now see that couch through the eyes of love. I don't need to judge so harshly anymore. And spiritual freedom, living in spiritual freedom, requires us to see for ourselves and think for ourselves. But there is a catch to it. We must be willing to open our minds enough so that we can see without constraints. So Ernest Holmes also talked about this. He said, that power, those thoughts that hold us in bondage, that is the exact same power, the exact same thoughts that free us. It's how we use it. So, if you just for a moment imagine a horse pulling a delivery cart with blinders on. Can you imagine that? A horse. Now, imagine that same horse, whatever color it was, brown, white, black, spotted. Imagine that same horse out in a lovely open pasture with apple trees, and which imaginary scene seemed happier to you? The horse is the same horse, but our idea about it has shifted. The whole shift takes place within our mind, within our imagination. So, is it good for a horse to be happy? Yeah. Is it good for a person to be happy? Yes. A child, an adult, we do have this built-in desire that we relate to happiness. So why? Why do you think it is? Why do we tend to want happiness in the very same way as a green plant growing towards the sun? So I want to share something that Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of our new thought philosophy, religious science, said, and I think it sheds some light on why we want to be happy and free. He said, and I guess this is why I like it, he said, it's simple. It's simple enough to understand the philosophy of the ages. It's simple to come to believe that whatever you call it, there is only one power in the universe. There is only one presence, there is only one final law, and it is good. It is love. We call it God. It is where we are in it. Since it is present everywhere, it is in us. He goes on. It is easy enough to understand and believe what the great and the good and the wise have taught. God is incarnated in me, in all of us. There is one life. That life is God. That life is my life. Therefore, in me is the power. And he said, now I, each one of us, is not the power. But in me is the power. The same power that sets the stars in their courses within me. And I didn't put it there. It is not by the grace of anything I did. I didn't earn it. I wasn't intelligent enough to have created myself. I believe that every person is on the pathway of an eternal progress, forever themselves and never less. He goes on. Jesus taught this. Emerson taught it. Plato taught it. The ancient Egyptians taught it. It's the basic principle of ancient Hinduism. It's the very cornerstone of science, because everybody knows that everything is in a state of evolution, and we believe that this evolution is an effect of that which is incarnated in us. There is within us that seed of perfection, that divine spark. I agree with him. And speaking for myself now, I believe it is that divine spark in us which gently guides us. It's always available, and it gently guides us toward creating and experiencing happiness in that very same way that a flower turns to the sun. There's an underlying reason why spiritual principles and practices work. And I think it's important that we keep it in mind. Because when we're just like reading about and trying out mindfulness, meditation, affirmative prayer, it really, really helps to recognize that we're not simply training neurons in our brain. We are actually engaging in communion with the creative mind of the universe itself. And doing so can bring us spiritual freedom. Now, Ernest Holmes taught people to use spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer in a scientific and logical manner. So he didn't invent it. you can look at the Bible and you can see that Jesus said, it is done to you as you believe. Ernest Holmes figured out a way to teach other people, not named Jesus of Nazareth, how to do it also, right? I mean, think about it. Even the disciples were said to have asked Jesus, well, how come we don't get the same results as you? Right? So we're learning to use it. So after Ernest Holmes kind of figured out how to do it, some of his students, who then were called on to teach more people, figured out, let's break it down into 5 easy steps that people can easily remember because they have 5 fingers. So we do call it the 5 steps of treatment. But you could also call it the 5 steps of getting in touch with your spiritual freedom. The 5 steps to changing your whole world, to becoming free and living in freedom. And so I'm just going to go over the 5 steps quickly. The first step is recognition. And that is the main thing that I have talked about so far. Recognition is recognizing that everything, everywhere, always must be a creation of something. Not my creation, not our creation. A creation of something, which I generally call spirit. But everybody needs to think about it in their own way. You can use the word God, creative consciousness, the absolute. Or in his later years, Ernest Holmes often just called it life. It doesn't matter what you call it. What matters is that you allow yourself to recognize that not only does it exist, it is the only thing there is. There is nothing else. There's no outside force. There's nothing in opposition. It's just like the idea that without the light, it seems like there's darkness, but there's no darkness. It's just a matter of turning on the light. This thing is the cause of everything. We don't have to turn on the light. It's already there. We just have to be willing to see it, to accept that it exists. So what does the Creator create from? This is kind of something that other people who teach mindfulness don't really go into, but I do believe it's the reason why our prayer treatments can be so amazingly effective, because we understand that since the Creator, if you want to call it, since life is all there is, that necessarily means that the only way it can create is by becoming that which is created. So Spirit creates by becoming, and yet it's never used up, exhausted, or limited by its creation. It is infinite. Spirit creates by becoming, and that's why we sometimes call it first cause. The underlying cause of the universe and anything beyond the universe that we're not aware of. This first cause, universal spirit, is omniscient, all-knowing. It is omnipotent, all-powerful. And this is sometimes the real trick, it is omnipresent. Omnipresent, fully present everywhere, not partly present somewhere. It's not like 1% in this flower and 3% in a song. No, it's fully present because it's indivisible. And that's really important to know, because the first step in obtaining this state of mind that I'm calling spiritual freedom, recognition, is understanding that we live in a spiritual universe. That we are, and this is the second step, that we are then naturally spiritual beings. You're the place. And this is amazing. I mean, it's taken me a long time to really adjust to this fact. Each one of us, you are the very center of consciousness, where creative consciousness is becoming conscious of its own reality and its own ability to create. Everything that you are learning, understanding, feeling, experiencing, remember, you're a center in the infinite. You're a center of consciousness in infinite creative consciousness. Everything you are experiencing, infinite creative consciousness is experiencing. You know, sometimes language just doesn't seem like enough when it comes to explaining this idea. But if you think about human beings in a certain way, you can think about how human beings are always out there, busy, busy, busy. You know, turning things over, making discoveries, trying things out, thinking about them, having these feelings, emotion, making decisions, making lots of mistakes, making choices. That's what human beings do. Now, what we call God, the thing itself, is not a being. You can think of it as beingness. It's infinite, it's all-knowing, and it's non-judgmental, it's perfect. Beingness doesn't really have eyes or ears, yet it has everything, because it is everything, and part of that everything is us too. Therefore, we say that you and I are each an individualized expression of this beingness, which is why I can say it's aware of itself through us. This beingness is the only thing, and it is all things. So the first step in attaining a sense of spiritual freedom is the recognition of this beingness: God, Spirit, creative consciousness, divine energy, life. And the second step is realizing that you are one with it, because it is all there is. You're not all of it, but you are one with it. So we do have other steps, but I want to say these two steps are the most important. And this really came home to me this week when I was doing a treatment for someone, and I felt I couldn't really get centered and couldn't really do it, and felt afraid for them. And by spending 95% of my time that I was in treatment on step one, knowing the truth, that there is only God, and that with God all things are possible, steps 3, 4, 5 became super easy. They just fell into place. The third step is when we declare our desire, when we create this picture of good that we would like to experience. And we have the right to make choices and to become clear on our choices. We call it either declaration or realization, this step. And it does enable us to live the life of our choosing. A step of realization requires clarity. You must be clear. If you just have a jumble of crazy thoughts going on, well, things are just kind of going to go along haphazardly. But as Jim was explaining how he had been doing a particular treatment for prosperity in a repetitive way over a long period of time, it's showing up in his life on a continual basis. He has given us an example of the type of clarity that enables us, in this case, to experience financial freedom. The same thing is possible with every aspect of our lives, because Spirit responds to our thoughts without judgment, creating a tendency in our lives. And we know we're not the only people on earth, and we don't get to control everyone else. We don't get to do treatments and prayers about so-and-so is going to do this. I don't get to decide that my son's going to be a dentist. I don't get to decide, that everyone in the United States is going to vote the way I like. I get to decide for myself. And I also get to know for other people that their lives are unfolding in the highest and best way possible for them. I think you all know the story, many stories about finding a genie in a bottle, right? Get 3 wishes. So I'm not going to tell you the story, but when you think about it, the moral is always be aware of what you're wishing for. Be clear on what you want. That's always, every version of it, whether it's fishing for a magic fish and all of these versions, it's always the same idea. Know what you wish and be clear. So the 4th step, of course, is Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving shifts us gives us, I think of it as kind of a gratitude. It's like a propellant, a little nitroglycerin in a gas tank or something. It gets us moving in the direction of knowing, it's here, I'm grateful. It may not be here in the physical manifestation yet, but it exists, and I know it exists in spirit, and so I'm already grateful that it's unfolding. And of course, the 5th step is also important: release, letting go, knowing, remembering, it's done. It's done. It's happening. I don't have to keep worrying about it. I don't have to keep revisiting it, unless, of course, I got a little confused. I can repeat it. So these are the 5 steps. I do have a handout for everyone that names the steps, and you can take it home with you. But in closing, I just wanted to share something written by a woman, Mildred Mann, who was a student of Emmett Fox, the well-known Unity minister. She wrote, and I believe it, "You are a divine spirit. You are a child of God. You have been given complete dominion over your life. With God, all things are possible. You are never alone, for God is always with you. Be positive in thought, word, and deed. Live up to the highest you know in all things. See the presence of God in your fellow man, particularly when you do not like him." That's great. "Give something of yourself in everything you do and to everyone you meet, particularly when you do not feel like it." I had to share that. And she ended with, "Meditate daily." So that wraps it up for me this morning. Thank you so much. I think we are running too late. we're gonna skip the next song. Richard, we need to skip the next song. We're running a little over. Right now, we're just gonna move into our offering, our time for giving. So if you have a contribution and you'd like to read it in your programs, if you got programs, do we have programs? Because I have a program. And in my program, it says right now, we're going to have a saying together. So please join me in saying, divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I am, and all that I give. I know this is so, and so it is. And then,
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful.
thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your generous support. I'd like to remind everyone that we do have a class right after fellowship, so it's probably going to start at 11:30. Since we're running a little late, we can just gather at the table and we'll get going. If you missed the class session last week, you're still invited to join us. It was on affirmations. Today we'll be talking about treatment, and it's a very good foundational class, I think. So everyone's invited. Now what I'd like to do is give a closing spiritual mind treatment. Let's see if I can remember all the steps. Well, first, I do remind myself that this is a spiritual universe, but there is nothing but spirit. That spirit is goodness, perfection, beauty, joy, love, and everything. Eternal, infinite, all-powerful, all-wise. Second, I understand that since this is true, then I am a spiritual being and I am in a state of oneness with spirit itself. And in that state of oneness, I understand that I can make decisions and spirit will respond. And so I declare, know, and realize the truth for each and every one of us, that there is good for us, there is good for our friends, there is good for our family, there is good even for the people we don't like, as well as all the people that we love and cherish. In fact, I know that in this moment, each one of us is able to rise to a higher state of consciousness in which we are able to see the truth about all people. That each one of them, with no exception, is a child of God. Each one of them, with no exception, is perfect, whole, and complete. And each one of them, with no exception, deserves greater and more wonderful unfolding of good in their lives. And so I picture in my mind this good as unfolding for all of us as wonderful health, wonderful prosperity, wonderful relationships, a sense of joy and purpose. And I know that Spirit says yes. And so I give thanks. I give thanks for all the good now unfolding here, right now, in this very room, within each one of us, within this room, and beyond. There is good for us, we ought to have it, and I accept it. I accept it and I give thanks. And finally, knowing that it is done, knowing that Spirit always says yes, that Spirit awaits our thought, which we plant into creative consciousness with a full faith, knowing it is already done. I release, I let go. I know it is done. I invite you to close with me by saying together, and so it is. Thank you. So, if you want to stand, if you'd like, we'll sing our